Nick here, coming to you with another video. So, you guys, I hope I'm coming in clear. If the screen looks weird, it's because I have to do this. All right. And let's actually check this out real quick. All right. Into um, we're gonna go to Acts 5 verse 28. And bear with me as I find it for you. And I actually want to show you guys this so that you can read it along with me. All right, you guys. So check this out, right? It says, saying, did not we straightly command you that ye should not teach? Right? And if you guys can hear me, please let me know. Please let me know if you guys can actually hear me in the chat. But let's actually proceed, right? It says, saying, did not we straightly command you that you should not teach in this name? And then we're referring to the name of Jesus, right? And behold, ye have filled Jerusalem with your doctrine and intend to bring this man's blood upon us. Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey Yah rather than men. Do you hear what I'm saying? We rather obey Yah rather than men. And you see, that's the reason why I have my shirt. It says obey Yah. And again, I'm going to tell you why this is important as we continue forward. But I just wanted to start there as a preface before we actually tackle the spirit of gaslighting. But the first spirit that you must contend with, right, when dealing with a gaslighter or a gaslighting is the spirit of witchcraft and manipulation, right? So we're going to go actually in 2 Kings 9 verse 22. And let's go there. And I'm going to show you something very interesting. 2 Kings 9 and 22. It's right. And it said, and it came to pass when Joram saw Jehu, that he said, is it peace, Jehu? And he answered, what peace? So long as whoredoms of thy mother Jezebel and her witchcrafts are so many. Now, why did I start here? This is what you guys need to understand, right? So long as you're dealing with a witchcraft spirit, so long as a witchcraft or a manipulative spirit, a spirit of Jezebel exists in your house, there will never be peace. You see, that's what Jehu was saying right here, y'all. This is exactly what Jehu was saying. He's saying, what peace? So long as the whoredoms of their mother Jezebel and her witchcrafts are so many. You see, what you guys need to understand, right, is that if you guys, I'm going to fast forward, but Jezebel was the wife of Ahab. And Ahab was trying to take the property of Naboth. And Naboth was just like, man, get out of here. No. This is the possession of my forefathers. This is my inheritance. Why would I give it to you? And this is Ahab, moping around. And now you have Jezebel saying, what's wrong? And, as Ahab is telling his story, Naboth won't give me the land. And she said, don't worry about it. I'm going to deal with it. And she, through manipulation, read the account for yourselves, y'all. She literally took the signature of Ahab, went behind Ahab's back, and manipulated sons of Belial to actually tell the people that Naboth was blaspheming the name of God. And in the process of doing that, the people stoned Naboth, and that's how she took Naboth's land. Now, why is this important? Because again, you see, the spirit of Jezebel, the spirit of Ahab, those are controlling spirits. They wish to actually take control over you. This is why I started off by saying that the first spirit you need to contend with is the spirit of witchcraft and manipulation. You see, these spirits wish to actually manipulate you. They wish to control and dominate over you. They wish, if there's anything that you possess, they're going to wish to actually manipulate you in such a way where they are now in seas of what you actually are supposed to have rightful ownership of. But because they operated in a cloak of maliciousness, because they're doing it in a very shrewd and covert way, right? No, it's very hard to actually pinpoint these individuals because they're working behind the scenes. I'm gonna give you a perfect example, right? This was something I was reading with you guys yesterday. Like, what is gaslighting? Gaslighting is a specific kind of emotional abuse that involves simultaneous attempts to convince a person of something untrue, while also suggesting that they are wrong, crazy, or not seeing things clearly. Beyond normal persuasion, gaslighting is the intentional act of misleading someone and using manipulative or deceptive tactics to undermine their perception of reality. In relationships, gaslighting is usually a recurrent pattern of behavior aimed at breaking down a person's ability to criticize, question, or challenge the other person now and in the future. Now, this is what you need to understand, y'all. Suppose if you actually are the rightful owner of a particular item. You see, through gaslighting, somebody may actually alter your perception of reality so that they actually can become in control of what you should actually have rightful ownership of. And this happens all the time, y'all, through gaslighting. It's crazy. But let's actually proceed, right? The second spirit that you need to contend against when you're dealing with gaslighting is the spirit of confusion. You see, again, gaslighters are trying their best to warp your perception of reality. So because they're trying to warp your perception of reality, you're going to therefore end up becoming confused as to what's true and what's not real. This is why there's some verses I wish to share for you. All right. The first one being James 3:16. And let's actually go there, right? So you have James 3:16. And look what it actually had to say. It says, and strife is there is confusion and every evil work. You see, are you in a relationship? Check this out, y'all. Are you a are you in a relationship? It doesn't matter what that relationship may be. It could be a relationship among friends. It could be a romantic relationship with a husband and wife. It could be even a business relationship, you and your boss, right? As I was saying yesterday, so long as there's an imbalance of power, right, where there's somebody who's superior and there's some form of subordinate, the spirit of gaslighting, the potentiality of gaslighting to occur is there. You see, and this is what you need to understand. If you find yourself in constant strife with an individual, notice what it says: where envy and strife is, there is confusion. There is confusion. You guys got to understand that. You see, it's not Yah's intent for you to be constantly striving against your brother, against your wife, against your children, against your boss. This is not of Yah. This is not of God. So if you find yourself constantly battling people, I see all this internet drama happen all the time. A bunch of beef that takes place. Just know that the spirit of confusion is operating. And you need to actually contend against the spirit of confusion and cast it out. Here's another verse that you need to actually keep in mind, right? We're going to go to 1 Corinthians 14. Let's go there. 1 Corinthians 14 and verse 33. And notice what it says. It says, for Yah is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches, the assemblies of the saints. You see, you guys got to understand that, right? You see, the Most High is not the author of confusion. Again, if you feel like you're confused, if you're dealing with somebody and they gaslighting you, right? Sometimes you might pour your heart out to somebody, a significant other, and they're going to be like, that never happened. That's not true, right? They're going to try to gaslight you. And now you start to feel confused. The moment you confused, just know that the devil is at work. Just understand the devil is at work. You see, because 9 times out of 10, it's not that you actually, don't know the sequence of events that actually took place. You actually are within your right mind. You are in your right mind. You know what you saw. You know what you heard. You get what I'm saying? But a gaslighter will try to manipulate you in such a way where they might make you feel like your reality is false. Just know the devil is present, right? The third spirit that you need to contend with when you're dealing with a gaslighter is the spirit of deception and lies, right? Oftentimes a gaslighter will try to exaggerate the truth, right? Now, why would a gaslighter do that? A gaslighter would do that because their intent by exaggerating the truth or using deception is actually so that they could destroy your self-esteem. You see, a gaslighter, you see, instead of seeking to please Yah, instead of you, listen to what I'm saying, Yah, instead of you trying to please Yah, because they deceiving you and because they exaggerate the truth, you should have been trying to please Yah, pleasing God, but in order to avoid conflict and the strife that we were talking about before, you seek to please that man or that individual. Yeah, that's what you're gonna do, right? And I'm gonna tell you right now, this is where you fail. You see, because as I read before, we rather obey Yah rather than man. You see, if you had that thought process, then you will not be deceived. The reason why you deceive is because you're trying so hard to please that individual, even though even though they are literally destroying their self-esteem, right? So here's a verse. Here's a verse that can help you understand what I'm talking about. Here's John 8, and this is verse 44. Let's check this out, right? It says that ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, right, deception, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. Check this out, y'all. You see, this is what I was trying to say yesterday for you guys, right? You see, Satan has used gaslighting from the very beginning of time. Listen to what I'm telling you. Satan has exaggerated the truth, used deception, used confusion from the very beginning of time, all the way back in the garden. I'll give you a perfect example, right? You see, the Most High told Adam and Eve, do not eat of this fruit. The day you eat of this fruit, ye shall truly die. And fast forward, when Satan, the serpent, comes into the garden, what does he tell Eve? Oh, how about you eat the fruit? And Eve is like, the Most High told us not to eat the fruit, because the day we eat that fruit, we're going to truly die. What does the serpent begin to say? That's not what he said. No, 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 no. He knows that the day you eat that fruit, you're going to be just like him. You're going to be like a God yourself. You see, do you see the deception? Do you see the deception? Even though the Most High clearly told Eve that the day you eat that fruit, you're going to die. Even though Eve can recall that the Most High told that to her, here you have the serpent bewitching Eve by using subtlety, by using deception, by warping the truth. You see, this is the tactics of a gaslighter. You see, that is the tactics of a gaslighter. And again, you see, if you don't know who you are in Christ Jesus, if you are constantly trying to seek the approval and the validation of others, right? In this case, the abuser, which is the gaslighter. If you always do that, you are susceptible to being a victim, in which case the serpent or this gaslighter can easily beguile you. They can easily use gaslighting tactics so that you can have a warp a warp version of reality, right? I'm gonna give you number 4. The fourth spirit that you must contend with when you're dealing with a gaslighter is the spirit of fear. And the spirit of fear. All right. So look at what it says, right? They say they may have been abused. Now, when they say they're referring to the actual gaslighter. You see, what you need to understand is that the spirit of fear actually works twofold when we're dealing with gaslighting, right? The gaslighter, right? They actually may be dealing with a spirit of fear. And why is that? Because they may have been abused or taken advantage of. So to avoid being manipulated, this is what they do. They do the very same thing to others that they are avoiding. And that's the irony of the gaslighting. You see, you need to actually you need to peer into the lives of these people that constantly gaslight, that constantly try to use lies and deception to warp reality. You see, because upon further investigation, what you may find out is that they deep down inside are actually scared individuals. They fear being manipulated themselves. They fear being deceived because they probably have been manipulated or deceived in times past. Sometimes they may fear losing control. Listen to what I'm telling you. Sometimes they fear losing control, so they're gonna engage in gaslighting tactics because they are attempting to keep their level of control and keep their level of manipulation over your life. So here's the proof text to contend against that, right? Yeah, Matthew 10, verse 28. So let's get to it. Matthew 10, verse 28. And look at what it says. And fear not them which kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him which is able to destroy both the soul and body in hell. You see, this is what you guys need to understand, y'all. So long as you operate in fear, you are a prime victim for a gaslighter. You see, Yah did not give you the spirit of fear, right? But of love, power, and sound mind. Notice what it says. Yah did not give you a spirit of fear, but of love, power, and what's the last one? A sound mind. If you're confused, is your mind sound? If you are confused, is your mind sound? The answer is an emphatic no. You see, and this is why I'm pressing so hard to actually get people to come to grips that you need to contend against this spirit. It's a very devilish and demonic spirit. It truly is. The spirit of gaslighting will keep you bound. Fear, the spirit of fear actually keeps you bound in general. You guys do your research, but there's a verse in the Bible that actually says fear brings a snare. You see, so if you constantly feel trapped, if you feel like you can't get away from this toxic relationship, that's because fear is upon you. And I'm gonna break that further later on, right? The fifth, all right, we almost there. The fifth spirit and tactic that we must contend against when dealing with a gaslighter is the spirit of pride, right? So individuals who engage in gaslighting tactics, they have a very high level of self-importance. They're very self-righteous. They have a very superior attitude. They boost themselves up by demeaning those they see as weak. You see, have you ever dealt with individuals where you might be in a relationship with your quote unquote friends, right? And you might have what the world may call the alpha in the group. And don't you ever notice that they always have the need to try to put down other people within the group just so that they can prop themselves up? You got listen, chime in the chat if you guys can actually understand what I'm talking about here. There are literally people, they are so obsessed with being the quote unquote alphas in the group that they will literally put down other people in the group just so that they themselves can look better than they actually are. You get what I'm saying? So, in order to show you how devilish pride is, I'm actually going to go into the Apocrypha, right? I'm going to go to the Apocrypha real quick and let's check this out, right? So, if you go to Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapter 12, chapter 10, verse 12 and 13, look what it said. They said, the beginning of pride is when one departed from God, Yah, and his heart is turned away from his maker. Listen to what it's saying. The beginning of pride is when one departed from Yah. You see, this is what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. A gaslighter, because they deal with the spirit of pride, you got to understand that they have done departed from Yah. And now the question that you need to ask yourself is this, right? I see Shibu says on the chat, I've had those friends. Yeah, I've had those friends too. Those individuals that are so damn toxic, they always try to put you down. Yeah, they're dealing with pride. And let me tell you something, right? You need to understand, because these individuals have departed themselves from the Most High, they departed themselves from Yah. I'm telling you guys, the only way for you to get out of that situation is that you must leave those individuals behind. You have to. And this is the hard part, right? Because sometimes what you guys don't realize is that a gaslighter, listen to what I'm telling you, a gaslighter might actually come in the form of your mom. They might come in the form of your dad, your auntie, your brother, your sister, right? Your teacher. It may even come in the form of your own husband, your wife, your parents. Look, you guys, and when I say these things, I'm saying it for a reason because you see, when it's personal like that, who's going to leave such dear people in their lives? Who's going to actually have the boldness to leave their brother, to leave their sister, to leave their parents? You see, this is a very hard message for a lot of people because a lot of you deal with too much fear. A lot of you deal with too much fear that you would never do what is actually required of you to actually break free from the chains of the gaslighter because you're so worried about trying to please them that you forget that the first person you ought to be trying to please is the Most High Himself. So you're going to stay in those wicked relationships because you lack the boldness to stand on truth and principle. But this is what I'm trying to get you to realize, right? Look at Ecclesiasticus or Sirach 10, verse 13, the next verse, right? It says, for pride is the beginning of sin. This is going right back to what I was telling you about the garden, right? Matter of fact, we can even go prior to the garden. How did the serpent get there in the first place? How did the Hasatan, Satan, the devil, how did he end up there in the first place? You see, because he wanted to be like the Most High. Do you hear the pride? Go read it for yourself. I'm sure if for those of you who know their Bible, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I will exalt my throne above the stars of heaven. I will exalt my throne above the throne of Yah. Right? This is what Satan was saying. Satan was full of pride. And why? It said, for pride was in the beginning. And he that hath it, pride, shall pour out abomination. And therefore Yahweh brought upon them strange calamities and overthrew them utterly. You see, these individuals who are gaslight, these individuals who are extremely prideful, who are full of hubris, they will be brought down, right? They will be brought down. I'm going to go to Proverbs 16:18, and I'm going to prove it to you. Proverbs 16:18. Look at what it has to say. It said, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. You see what I'm saying? Again, you guys, you need to leave these individuals to themselves because you got to understand, pride is only going to lead these individuals to utter destruction. So if you're following these people, it's almost like when Yeshua, Jesus the Christ, what did he say? The blind lead the blind, and what happens? They both fall into the ditch. You see, if you follow these individuals who are full of pride, notice what it said, pride goes before destruction and a haughty spirit before a fall. These individuals are going to fall. The Most High is going to bring them to naught. The Most High is going to bring them down because Yah resisteth the proud. And if you are found caught with these individuals, you too will fall. You too will fall. And you deserve it. Why? Because you were here all this time fearing man rather than fearing who you ought to fear, which is the Most High. This is why I read that verse before. Why are you fearing him that is able to harm the body rather than you fearing the Most High who's able to put the soul and the body in hell? You see, that's what I'm saying. You guys are too spineless. A lot of people are too spineless. They're a bunch of jellybacks, a bunch of weak-minded individuals, and they are going to be brought to naught. Why? Because you, at the end of the day, fear man. Anyway, I'm going to read the last one for you guys, which is the sixth spirit that you need to deal with, which is the spirit of depression and oppression. You see, when you're dealing with a gaslighter, right, usually the victim will feel a great sense of anxiety and hopelessness and despair. When you come up with solutions, listen to what I'm telling y'all. When the victim comes up with solutions, the gaslighter will oftentimes reject the solution that the victim comes up with and put the burden of solution only on the victim. So in other words, what I'm saying is that you might have a husband and a wife, right? And the husband is an extreme gaslighter, probably extremely narcissistic. And this husband constantly puts down his wife, And the wife is going behind the scenes trying to do her due diligence to see, okay, you know what can I do to try to mend the relationship? What can I do to get that spirit of strife and confusion outside of my house? So she's going to probably come up with a solution, and that solution may come in many forms. Maybe she might suggest counseling. Maybe she might suggest How about we read our Bible together more? How about we do more Bible studies? I don't know. It could come in many different forms. And guess what takes place? The gaslighter is always gonna put her down. No, 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 no. We don't need that. We don't need to do that. It's you that need to change. You're the one that's the source of the problem. Do you see the problem that we're dealing with here? You see, mind you, we all know that it takes two to tango. And whenever you're dealing with an argument, it takes two to tango. But the gaslighter, what they will do is warp reality and act as if they're not the source of contention, even though they themselves are part of the strife, even though they themselves probably show signs of anger and malice and bitterness, right? But because the gaslighter would never admit they're wrong, a gaslighter would never admit that they have to change. So the gaslighter will put the burden on you, the victim, and say, no, no, it's you that needs to change. You're the one that was causing all these issues. You're the one that's bringing up all these strife and contentious arguments. They're going to always put the burden on the victim. And because they do that, this is why the victim will always feel a very heavy spirit, the spirit of depression and oppression, right? So the Bible refers to the spirit of depression and oppression as a heavy spirit, a spirit of heaviness. And I'm actually going to read this last verse for y'all because I think it's extremely important for us to understand. So we're going to go to Isaiah and we're going to go to chapter 61 and I'm going to start at verse 1. All right. And follow me because this one is extremely powerful. I'm going to show you guys how to overcome the spirit of gaslighting, right? And check what it says. The spirit of Yahweh Elohim, Lord God, is upon me, because Yahweh hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. Right? Notice what it says, good tidings unto the meek, as opposed to what I read to you before. A gaslighter deals with extreme levels of pride. You see, the Most High anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek, aka the humble. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted. Do you feel brokenhearted? When you're dealing with a gaslighter, when you deal with somebody that constantly puts the blame on you and constantly tries to gaslight you by trying to rewrite history, rewrite your reality and say you're the cause of these issues, do you feel brokenhearted? You see, this is what Christ came to do, to bind you up, heal you up, right? To proclaim liberty to the captives. Do you feel like you're in bondage? Like I was telling you before, you see, fear brings a snare. Do you feel like you're bound when you're in this relationship? Do you feel like you're a captive, like you're a slave? And the opening of the prison to them that are bound. You see, when you're dealing or when you're in this relationship, do you feel like you're in prison? If so, this is what the spirit of Yahweh came to do. He came to deliver you from such spirits, right? Especially the spirit of depression and oppression. Verse 2, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahweh and the day of vengeance of our Yah, to comfort all that mourn. You see, are you mourning right now? When you deal with gaslighters, do you constantly feel heavy in spirit? Do you always feel like you're crying? Your pillow is probably soaked with all your tears. Why? Because you feel like you're not being heard. Every time you voice your concern, they said, nah, that didn't actually happen. You're just making this up. They always try to warp your reality. And because you're so confused, you're constantly confused about your reality is leaving you mourning. Verse 3, I'm going to show you the solution right here. To appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes. Listen to what I'm telling y'all. The oil of joy for mourning. The garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness. That they might be called trees of righteousness, the planting of Yahweh, that he might be glorified. You see, this is what you need to understand, right? First of all, you need to understand that you are fearfully and wonderfully made. That's first thing you need to understand. You see, a gaslighter may try to make you feel like you're worthless. A gaslighter may try to make you feel like you're no good. A gaslighter may try to make you feel as if you are just a piece of trash. I'm here to tell you right now, y'all, that if you understand that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, then you need to actually rejoice, because who cares what this individual says about you? Who cares what man has to say about you? I'll even use myself. Nick, there is nothing I can say about you that trumps what the Most High already said about you. You see, last time I checked, Jesus came on the scene and died for your sins. No matter how, no matter how ugly you think you may be, no matter how trash you think you may be, the word says you were fearfully and wonderfully made. The word says you are the apple of God's eye. You see, people could try to put you down, but what you need to understand is that if the Most High already told you how he views you, to hell with what man has to say. You see, this is what I'm saying. Man has no heaven and hell to put you in. So why are you fearing what they have to say? Now, I want to be very real with y'all. I want y'all to actually hear me out on this one. I need you guys to actually try to hear me out on this one, y'all. And let me see if I can actually. I'm hoping it's actually gonna work. I'm really hoping that it's gonna work. Please let me know. Please put it on the chat if you guys can actually still hear me. Please put it in the chat, because I want you guys to actually see me very well as I'm speaking. Please put it in the chat that as I'm putting it in the camera mode, if you guys can still actually hear me. Please put it in the chat. But I want to actually say something real quick, all right? Listen to what I'm actually saying to you guys. A lot of you guys are in a very toxic relationship right now because you guys refuse to actually stand on any type of principle. You refuse to stand on the courage of your convictions. So long, and I'm going to tell you right now, many of you guys deal with so much levels of fear that you guys can't even fathom a life without you being oppressed and depressed by your oppressor, which is the gaslighter. You guys have such a scarcity mindset. What's a scarcity mindset, right? A scarcity mindset is a mindset where you believe that the person you're dealing with, they the best that you can ever have. This person that you're dealing with is the best that Yah has to offer you. And that couldn't be further away from the truth. You see, so long as you have a scarcity mindset, it's going to prevent you from having the mindset that's actually necessary to leave a toxic relationship. And what mindset is that? The mindset that you need to have is the mindset which is abundant, an abundant mindset. You see, an abundant mindset tells you that no matter what you lose in life, you can always replace it. You see, there's always going to be more friends. You can always replace co-workers. You can always replace a quote unquote man or a woman in your life. I'm telling you, you can always replace them. You can always replace them. They're not the only people you have. I'm telling y'all. But because you have a scarcity mindset, you're going to think that that's the best you can do. Let me tell you something. I'm going to show you how scarcity operates, right? I want you to follow me real quick. Follow my train of thought, right? You see, what scarcity does is that it brings up the value of something. I'll give you a perfect example, right? Gold. Is gold valuable? Please put it in the chat. Is gold valuable? Is it? You see, anybody with a brain would know that it is absolutely valuable. But it's valuable why? Because it's scarce. You see, you can't just easily find gold anywhere, can you? And if you can, please let me know so I can get some for myself. Last time I checked, if I dig within any piece of land right now, the likelihood of me finding gold is extremely rare, aka scarce. You see, so if something is scarce, what happens to the value of it? It's gonna naturally increase. This is the reason why gold is expensive. This is the reason why rubies are expensive, because they're not abundant. Listen to what I'm trying to tell you guys. Because it is scarce, the value of that thing goes up naturally. What I'm trying to get you to understand is that you people that have a scarcity mindset, when you're dealing with a gaslighter, because you think that you can't find any better. I don't care if it's a man, I don't care if it's a woman. Because you believe you can't do any better, you can't find any better. You have made the value of that individual in your life so high, you can never replace them. You can't replace them because you don't think you're going to find any better. If anybody understands what I'm telling y'all, please put a one in the chat. Please put a one in the chat. Because their value in your life is so high, you will not replace those individuals. However, if you have an abundant mindset, now let's ask yourself, is wood abundant? If you go walk outside right now, what's the likelihood of you finding wood? AKA, is there a tree around you? So you found wood. I mean, wood is very abundant. So what's the value of wood? It's not that high. I mean, you could go to Home Depot, you could probably buy a 2x4, what, maybe $2-3? The price of wood is not high. On contrast, can you buy gold for $2-3? That's an emphatic no. That's an emphatic no. You can't even buy silver for $2-3. Why? Because again, it's a very simple it's a very simple concept, guys. It's really not that hard. If something is abundant, it will not cost a lot. You see, water is abundant. That's why you could go to the store and buy yourself some water for about $1. It's not abundant. If something is scarce, the value will go up. You guys need to understand this though. The only thing that's scarce in life, truly, listen to what I'm telling you because I'm going to unlock the key for you right here. This is going to be exactly what you need in order to overcome being with a gaslighter or being in a toxic relationship. The only thing in life that is truly scarce is the Most High Himself. Why? Because if you read your Bible, what does He say? I, Yah, Elohim, I, God, right? The Lord, that God is what? One. If there's only one of something, isn't that very rare, very scarce? The answer is yes. The only thing that's truly scarce is the Most High Himself. You see, this is why you have parables like Jesus when He said, what's the kingdom of Yah is like a man that finds a ruby, right? A jewel. So what does he do? He's going to bury it because he's going to sell everything he has just for that jewel and bury it. Why? Because you got to understand, it's rare. You see, if the Most High comes into your life, do you understand how grateful you should be? How thankful you should be? Some people go their entire life never actually knowing the true living Elohim. Some people go their entire life wishing that they can have a genuine connection with the Most High and they will never find it. If you found the Most High, the true Most High, do you know how rare that situation is? Do you know how rare that encounter is? This is why the Bible says, miss not your day of visitation, right? Don't miss your day of visitation because it's extremely rare. The Most High is not knocking at everyone's door. So now here's my point, right? If the Most High is the only one that's truly scarce, that means He's the only one that you should genuinely fear losing in your life. You see, me, look, I'll use myself because a lot of people don't want to, I don't want to offend nobody because I know that a lot of people are soft in this generation, right? You got to check this out, y'all. You see, me, right, Nick, I'm not rare. Look, I know you might think you're unique. I know you might think you're special. I'm a dime a dozen, y'all. There's somebody, I don't care, they might have a different silhouette. They may have a different voice, but I am not that unique. There's somebody out there in this world that probably thinks just like me, that probably operates just like me. And I understand for those of you who think you're special because maybe that's what they've told you all your life, this is going to be hard for you to understand. But you're not that unique. Every single one of us can easily be replaced. Do you know how many musicians there are? Do you know how many doctors there are? There is not a skill that you have that is so unique that you cannot be replaced. Again, this might be hard for some of you guys to hear, but that doesn't make it any less true. The same goes for the gaslighter. Let me land the plane, right? Let me get to the point. The same goes for the gaslighter. The gaslighter in your life, the person that always tries to confuse you, the person that you have constant strife with, and they try to deceive you by warping your reality, by telling you that things you heard or saw is not true, they're not unique, y'all. There's a bunch of gaslighters out here. And let me tell you what, because they're not unique, because they're not that scarce, let them go. That's your solution. Let them go. You got to divorce yourself from these individuals because they are here to do nothing else but drag you down. You guys got to understand that these individuals in your lives, gaslighters, the only solution for such individuals is that you have to let them go. And I'm gonna go back, right, to recap on everything that we learned in this video. For those of you who've been with me from the beginning, right, I read 6 spirits for you. You have the spirit of witchcraft and manipulation, aka you have Ahab and Jezebel. You have the spirit of confusion, the spirit of deception slash lies, the spirit of fear, the spirit of pride, the spirit of depression and oppression. These 6 spirits right here, you need to understand that you need to bind those spirits in your lives and cast them out. Don't play with them, y'all. If any of you try to play with these type of spirits, I'm telling you, you're only deceiving yourself. It is designed. Listen to what I'm telling y'all. Do not play around with these individuals. They will literally kill you. Listen to what I'm telling y'all. Do you understand that Ahab and Jezebel, they literally caused an innocent man. And sorry, y'all, I'm using my camera app while doing this live stream. But listen to what I'm telling y'all. Do you understand that Ahab and Jezebel, because of their witchcraft, because of their manipulation, because of their excessive need to try to control another man's property. You see, you should have possession of yourself. There should be nobody that has control over you. You see, but to a narcissist, to a gaslighter, to a manipulator, their purpose, they are driven by the need to control. So they are trying to control you. And I'm trying to tell you guys, it will behoove you to divorce yourself from these individuals because if they believe that they can't control you, aka Ahab, if you have a Ahab type spirit and they believe that they can't control you, they will create an environment that is so oppressive that you're gonna find yourself losing yourself more and more, and you're gonna head in such a level of depression that is so steep, you're gonna feel as if you're dead. You're literally gonna die. It's gonna be just like Naboth. You guys gotta understand how conniving these spirits are, y'all. These spirits have been existing for thousands of years, and they have learned to grow in their tactics. I'm telling you, they're not gonna kill you like they did Naboth. They're not gonna. They might. I say that with a grain of salt. But majority of people that are narcissists today, majority of people that are gaslighters today, they may not physically kill you. They might not physically throw stones at you or shoot you or whatever the case may be. But guess what? If they feel like they can't control you, just watch what type of situation they put you in. They will put you in a situation that is so oppressive. You're gonna be like, damn, I feel like I could never get a break. I feel like I'm constantly warring. I'm constantly striving. Mind you, I read the verse earlier where there's strife, right? Where there's confusion, there's strife. No, excuse me. Where there's strife, there is confusion and every evil work. Not some, not some, not a little. They said every evil work. If you find yourself constantly striving with somebody, could think about it, right? Who wants to fight with their natural family members? Who wants to fight with their mom? Who would like to be fighting with their dad or your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, your children? Who wants to be fighting with them? Who wants to fight with their boss? You see, who genuinely wants to fight? Period. Now, I'm not asking you guys to be a bunch of wimps and just avoid fighting. No, that's not what I'm saying. But the Bible says, as much as possible, live peaceably with all men. So, who's actually genuinely trying to fight? So, you got to understand, if you constantly find yourself in a situation where you're in constant strife, it's not from the Most High. It's just not. Right? I'm gonna land the plane by stating this verse. Right? The word says, "Unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulders." And listen to what it says. And his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the Mighty Yah, the Everlasting Father, and the last part, Prince of Peace. Prince of what? Prince of Peace. They clearly talk about Jesus. Listen to what I'm telling y'all, and there's a reason why I'm landing the plane by using this verse. Jesus is the Prince of Peace. If you ever feel like your peace has been taken away from you, essentially you have lost Yeshua in your life. And the question you need to ask yourself is, who is so important in your life that you're willing to lose Jesus? Who is so important in your life that you're willing to lose Jesus just to keep your relationship with that individual? Is your mom that important? Do you love your mom more than Jesus? Do you love your father more than Jesus? Do you love your husband or your wife more than Jesus? Do you love your teacher more than Jesus? Do you love your aunt, your uncle, your auntie more than Jesus? Do you love the Pope more than Jesus? This pastor more than Jesus? Do you love anybody, excuse me, anybody more than Jesus? Listen to what I'm asking you guys. Is there anybody in your life that you love more than Jesus? And you love them so much that you're willing to lose your peace just so that you can stay with those individuals. I'm going to tell you right now, that's the biggest mistake that you can ever do in your life. There should be nobody so important that you're willing to keep that relationship with those individuals just so that you can keep that headache in your life. Nobody's that important. Nobody's that important. Nobody's that important. And this is why Jesus said, if you choose mother, father, son, daughter, if you love them more than me, you're not worthy of me. Period, point blank, y'all. There's no beating around the bush. There's no sugarcoating it. A lot of you need to actually just grow a pair of stand on the courage of your convictions and actually have the strength to simply leave. If you guys can't leave an oppressive situation, I want you to understand this. This may seem hurtful, but just know at that point in time, it is a choice. Some of you guys may not want to hear this, but it's the truth. Many of you are choosing to stay in toxic relationships. Many of you are choosing to stay in oppressive relationships. Some of you are choosing to stay in a relationship where someone is constantly gaslighting you. And because your love for them is so strong, it's more than the love you have for the Father, the creator of the universe himself. You are willing to stay in that toxic relationship and lose your soul salvation because you're unwilling to part ways with an abuser. You know what that's called? That's called the Stockholm Syndrome. Guys, look it up. It's called the Stockholm Syndrome. You know what the Stockholm Syndrome is? It's when a victim falls in love with the oppressor. Have you guys ever seen the scenario with the man beating his wife, giving her a black eye? And you probably looking at it like, damn, man, you're not gonna leave that? You might even try to break if you see it happen in front of you, you might even have the courage to try to break up the fight. And guess what? You might have that girl that's battered and bruised. She has a black eye. She gonna fight you for trying to actually put your hands on that man for beating her. Do you see how crazy it is? That's what I'm saying. It's a choice, yeah. Don't feel sorry for these individuals. I don't feel sorry for those individuals. It's a choice. It's a choice. Some people are choosing to stay in toxic relationships. Some people like to be abused. I guess they don't experience joy. Then hey, being abused is the only feeling that they can experience. So they just stick with that. It's sad, but it's the truth. So that's what I'm saying, y'all. It's called the Stockholm Syndrome. When people fall in love with their oppressor, it's a sad series of events, but this is the reason why people all the time we see how in the world is this person in love or addicted to drugs, alcohol, sex, or money, whatever the case may be. These people have fallen in love with the oppressor. So who am I to try to stop those individuals? All I could do is try to make videos like this to try to wake people up. And even at that, majority of people, you see, like for example, right? If I ask you guys this question right now, please write it in the chat. If I ask you guys this question right now, how many of you actually love God? Please put it in the chat. I want to hear it. How many of you, if I was to ask you that question, a simple question, how many of you love God? How many of you are going to actually say yes? I'm sure a majority of you, right, are going to say, yeah, 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 oh yeah, I love God. I love God. Sure, I love God, right? You're going to say it in word. And if God himself came down and told you, I need you to leave this gaslighter. I need you to leave this oppressor. I need you to leave this abuser. I need you to leave that relationship. Some of you, y'all gonna start to realize you didn't love God as much as you claim you did. Nah, you don't. Nah, you don't. Some of you love man so damn much that you wouldn't listen to God himself, the Most High, the creator of the universe himself. If he came down and told you to leave this relationship, some of you don't have the boldness to do it. No, you don't. That's what I'm saying. Don't even lie to yourself. Don't even lie to yourself. It's sad. Yeah, it's sad. But it doesn't make it any less true. Anyway, y'all, I really hope that you guys actually learned something from this video, because I broke down the 6 spirits that you need to contend against, that you need to go in active spiritual warfare in order to overcome the gaslighter. I hope this was edifying to some of y'all. Because I'm letting you know right now, y'all. Listen to what I'm telling y'all. I'm letting you know right now. We live in a daytime and hour. Like the word says, the love of many have waxed cold. The love of many has waxed cold, y'all. And I'm telling you, gaslighters, if you guys can actually study this spirit right here, you'll be surprised how many people actually engage in that spirit right there. And what's even more disheartening, which is even more sad, is that even if you are aware of the gaslighting tactics, you will find out that there are many people who do not have the courage to actually stand up to a gaslighter or leave a relationship in which they are dealing with a gaslighter. It's sad, y'all. It's sad. Anyway, y'all, I'm not gonna beat the dead horse. If you guys did like this video, please like, subscribe, comment down below. Please do all that YouTube stuff. It does help the channel out a lot. But this is not even for the sake of clout. I actually hope that you guys like the video and share it so that hopefully it can actually wake up some people, y'all. Real talk. I'm actually hoping above anything that this can actually wake some people up so that they can actually know how to overcome the gaslighting, Jezebel, Ahab, manipulative spirit. Anyway, I hope you guys can hear me. But anyway, with that being said, Nick over and out. The message sent. Jesus is King, y'all.